Welcome back to my channel. My name is Katrina, and today I want to share with you the items that I have for postpartum. Now, I am obviously still pregnant right now, but this is my second baby, so I am showing you what I used for my first and what I am planning on using for this baby. Just a warning, this video might be a little bit TMI. I'm not going to go into crazy details, but I am going to tell it like it is and try to at least help you have a realistic expectation of what it's like postpartum. Okay, I'm going to start with breastfeeding. It's just a really small amount of stuff for breastfeeding, and then I will move into the other areas. So there's really just two things that I used for breastfeeding. One was the breastfeeding pads. So those are like these here. They've got a little sticky thing on them, and you just put that inside of your bra, and that just catches any leaking. Now, I will say you need to change those often, just so that you don't have problems with any yeast infections or anything like that. And there comes a point where you probably don't need them anymore, but definitely count on needing them for the first few weeks because you will leak, and otherwise you'll just end up with a wet spot on your shirt, and it's not very pleasant. Now, the other thing that I did use and definitely recommend is this cream here. That can be purchased at Walmart, as can the nursing pads. And this, if you apply it after every nursing, without fail, it will really, really reduce the cracking and drying out for your nipples when you're nursing. And it's honestly, it's so painful if you have a lot of issues with that, especially if you're having trouble getting the baby to latch, that kind of thing. Using cream like this, a definite must. Okay, so moving on. As far as when you're at the hospital, they provide pretty much everything. And most times they will send you with this here to take home. This is just like a cleansing bottle. All you have to do is just put some warm water in it. And you definitely don't want to be doing any wiping down there, especially if you've had stitches, that kind of thing. So warm water in this and just a bunch of squirts, get everything clean. And you kind of want to keep things sort of moist down there at first. I know that sounds gross, but that will keep it less painful. And so one of the ways that I did that was I made padsicles. And so I will show you how I did that. I just used two ingredients for it. That is aloe vera. We've had this for a long time, but it is pure, no color added, nothing. It's just aloe vera. So just something like that. You don't want to have any extra things added to it. And witch hazel. This one here I got at Winners. It is getting low, so I did buy this one here. It, I believe, is a bit more concentrated. It's just plain witch hazel. The other one, I think, is a little bit diluted. And I got that from Walmart, so you can buy those things at Walmart. And so I'm going to make some of those. I'm going to show you. We'll pop them in the freezer. And so that when you first come home or first have the baby, feels definitely like it just numbs and gives some relief. I would say don't go too crazy making padsicles. I found that I only liked using them for the first few days, and then after that it just seemed kind of messy, and I didn't need like that level of care. So I'm going to use these pads, which are not quite as intense, because I find that when you use the padsicles, you don't leave them on for hours and hours at a time. So you don't really need one that's going to absorb a crazy amount. You just need one that's going to be a decent protection. So these ones are like overnights, but not like maxi heavy duty ones. I'm going to put them on this tin foil so that way I can wrap them up in it. And last time I like folded them back, but then they were really messy to like unfold and everything. So I'm going to try it with the tin foil so that way they can lay flat. I think that that will make it easier when I'm taking them out. I don't have to like kind of wait for it to defrost a little before I can unfold it. So I've just removed the back from it and I've stuck it down on here. I'm going to do the same with the wings. And that way when I go to use it, I can just unstick it from this, which shouldn't be too bad, but at least it can lay flat in the freezer. So I'm going to pour my witch hazel on. And my aloe vera. I know, it's kind of gross, right? And then we will just fold it up. And then I will just do multiples of those. So once you've kind of moved on from that and you feel like you don't really need those anymore, tuck pads, or these are just like the knockoff brand of them from Walmart, which really are just witch hazel pads. So you're still kind of using the same ingredient. But those are just, they're less messy. You can just take a few of them and just put them in your pads. And that definitely gives some relief without having to be quite as messy and having to take things out of the freezer and all of that. I feel like I was not told about this with my first pregnancy until I was being discharged from the hospital, and they said, just make sure that you're taking stool softeners. And I was like, oh, okay. So my husband ran to the store and got some. But yeah, you definitely want stool softeners. It's not an enjoyable experience to be using the bathroom in general after you have a baby. So stool softeners for at least the first few days, maybe even a bit longer. You don't want to overdo it, but you definitely don't want to be skipping that step. Trust me. So just like a regular stool softener, nothing fancy. Just make sure you're taking those right away. Just trust me. Like, just take them, and you will be happy that you did it. Now, another thing that I feel like I wasn't really properly warned of, or maybe I just didn't want to hear it, is hemorrhoids. Sometimes you get hemorrhoids during pregnancy, especially towards the end when the baby is low and pushing down. But if you don't, and you're fortunate enough not to get them then, you will pretty much get them when you give birth. So I would say that's one of the areas that is not enjoyable for healing and everything as well. And so some of the items I showed you already, both the padsicles and the tuck pads and stuff, help with it. But I would go a step further and use something like this, like a actual, this is preparation H, but something that's actually made for hemorrhoids, to apply to the hemorrhoids, just to help shrink them back down again and help with the pain. Again, something that is not enjoyable at all after birth, but if you at least have some of those things for it to try and minimize the pain and help them go away faster, that will make a big difference. Now, for my first, I had a unmedicated birth. I didn't have any epidural or anything like that. And to be honest, it was painful, don't get me wrong, but I found the recovery to be really difficult. I think when you're giving birth, everything happens quite quickly, and the baby's coming, and you're concentrating on that. But afterwards, I found that the pain was harder to handle, and I think just I wasn't focused on having the baby or anything, and it just was hard to deal with. And so I was surprised that I actually did need pain meds for quite a while afterwards. It makes sense, but I didn't really think about it, you know. It was like, oh, I'm going to have the baby, and, you know, just didn't really focus on the recovery part of it. So I would definitely recommend having just regular pain meds in the house, something extra strength or whatever. But if you don't need it, great. But I would count on needing it at least for the first few days, if not a couple of weeks. So if all of that hasn't already scared you enough, I'm sorry. You will get through it just like the rest of us got through it. Honestly, being prepared is better than going in thinking, I just don't want to think about it, and then that will make it go away, because it won't make it go away. So good for you for being prepared and for watching things like this and trying to have as many items for after the baby as possible. Now, on that note, you will also need diapers for you. Some people say, oh, well, you know, you don't really need diapers. Like, they give you the mesh panties and you can just put a pad in. To be honest, at the beginning, I liked that a diaper was the whole package. I could take that diaper off and just toss it and not have to be dealing with any mess. I didn't have to worry that I was leaking or that, you know, wasn't staying on the pad or whatever. So at the beginning, definitely for the first few days, I would just recommend having diapers. You're going to be feeling not like yourself anyways, so what's a diaper? Now, having said that, you're not going to be wanting to wear diapers forever, so when you do move past that stage, you're going to want pads, but kind of like graduating out of it. So I would say like an overnight, really thick, like, you know, the real deal ones to move into after you move out of the diapers, and then graduate into like just a more regular pad, sort of as you kind of bleed less and you can graduate out of those things. Definitely count on a few weeks of bleeding. Some people might find that they still have to wear pads for like 4 or even 6 weeks. I know that sounds extreme. You will just get used to it. It's only really bad at the beginning. Okay, so those are the not fun parts. I'm not sure if there is any fun parts in recovery from postpartum, but I will say that you are distracted by the fact that you've got a beautiful new baby, and it just kind of goes with it, right? But I will also add, buy yourself some candies that you like, pick up a magazine, have a TV show that you're going to be watching. You're not going to have a lot of time on your hands, but you definitely are going to be eating and drinking and probably watching something while you're stuck there breastfeeding or bottle feeding. So treat yourself a little bit. And I will also add, make sure that you have nursing bras. Don't wait until after you have the baby because you're going to need them right then and there. You can go and get them fitted already, I think at about 36 weeks. You can even do it a little before that, but you're just not going to have quite as accurate of a fitting. And so make sure you've got nursing bras. Make sure you have nursing tank tops so that you can undo the tank top and then undo the bra without having to actually like take off all of your clothing to be able to nurse the baby, because the first few weeks, that's pretty much all you're going to be doing. If you're nursing. Even if you're not nursing, make sure you have a few clothing items that are baggier fits that you'll feel okay in, but are not maternity anymore. Because you really don't want to be wearing maternity clothes after you have the baby. I mean, maybe pants, but definitely not shirts. It accentuates your belly instead of hiding. Well, I think that that's all. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you're new, I would love it if you would subscribe. There's definitely going to be lots going on with a new baby arriving. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!